Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch. Basically, a remake of Kirby's Return to Dreamland back on the Nintendo Wii. So, last time we've completed the third world in the game, which appears to be Onion Ocean, and that was actually a pretty cool world, and as a result, we actually did this pretty well, especially no deaths so far. So, relatively speaking though, today for this video is about the fact that we're going to be moving on to the next world, which appears to be White Wafers, I think is what it says anyway. I apologize for that mispronunciation of that particular world in mind, because it's been like, I would say, 3 days ago since we've actually last played this for sure, because after all, about the fact of the matter is though, I'm thinking that Joyce is now onto the halfway point in terms of WarioWare's smooth moves at this point. And on top of all these offenses though, is about the fact that there are quite a few stuff I would like to mention for this point today. But of course, we're able to actually get started with the first stage in this world. And obviously, as you can tell, this world is obviously going to be a lot of emphasis on ice physics here and there. And on top of all that stuff though, about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, well, we'll try our best if we're able to actually just to like, you know, able to go through a serious amount of obstacles as much as we can. So either way, because chances are though, we're sure able to actually just get, you know, guaranteed able to do this no problem. So anywho, so a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that is that, well, today's date, of course, there is the 10th of April today, in this case in 2023 today. Something worth noting for that I suppose I forgot to mention about is that during the forms of an April Fool's Day or something like that, or should I say, before the April Fool's Day, during the forms of this year, apparently though, there was actually an out of nowhere Sonic game has been released on Steam. Well, I would say like a Steam exclusive. That's what appears to be the murderer of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I wasn't expecting to see that coming, especially concerning about the fact that apparently though, that is for free for its downloadable wise, and on top of all that stuff though is about the fact that, from what I've heard anyway, it does bring up some of the tons of references from other Sega properties or somewhat, but on top of all that stuff though is about the fact that they obviously got 1 million downloads for the sake of the forms of, well, the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog so far, which I have no idea what this is all about though, because I know for a fact it's all about a detective simulation or something, but either way though, that might be saying something. So either way, let's just go ahead and get ourselves the next energy sphere, which appears to be up here. So of course that you have to utilize the cannon shots, so either way though, it's all about timing aspects. So either way, let's just go ahead and continue things on here. And relatively speaking though, this level is actually really short if you managed able to, like, you know, don't keep dying a lot or anything else like that. So either way, and on top of all that stuff though is about the fact that since we're on to the 10th of April, well, for those of you who lived in Japan anyway, happy 15th anniversary of the release of Mario Kart Wii. So yeah, I can't believe it's been 15 years ago since when Mario Kart Wii has first came out back on the Nintendo Wii back in 2008. Well, at least specifically in the Japanese version anyway, and I'm pretty sure that the European version is gonna be 15 years old until specifically tomorrow's case. Well, assuming of course on the UK time anyway. So either way though, because, well, after looking back on the forms of the game itself, like 15 years later, I still find it to be quite an enjoyable time, especially concerning about the fact that despite the rubber banding AI problems, but apart from all that stuff though, I really still enjoy the character roster, as well as the carts and bikes is actually introduced, and on top of that, the trick system has been introduced, and heck, even especially noticeable with the forms of how the fact that how cool the online mode functions, despite, you know, you can no longer play online in Mario Kart Wii, sadly, unless if you managed able to hack your Wii, and then that way you can able to enjoy the online experience even better, especially concerning about the fact that I'm pretty sure everyone else has already done that already. So either way, let's just go and get ourselves the, well, the sword copy ability, and we can pretty much guarantee we can able to just get our whip, and we'll get a 1-up up there. So either way, it's been a very long while since we actually come across into a whip copy ability ever since in, I would classify for saying in Onion Ocean or something. Excuse me, about the fact of the matter is though, because, well, if you couldn't tell already, that my voice is actually getting a little bit croaky at this point today, but that's only mainly because I've somehow woken up really early in the morning. So either way, I apologize for that for this point, folks, especially concerning about the fact that, well, you probably already know what to expect. So either way, and also I'd like to mention about something else for this matter though, about the fact the matter is though, recently I have managed to 100% everything in terms of Sonic Heroes on the Xbox, meaning about the fact that I've now recently completed 2 versions so far in terms of Sonic Heroes. So, well, apart from the fact that I was originally able to tackle through super hard mode for my spare own time, but however though, I'm actually going to save that until for later, until when it gets to the point, until when Sonic Heroes will eventually become 20 years old, in Japan anyway, until by the end of 2023. So, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm also able to do that on a special occasion. So, although it will be pretty tough though, especially concerning with the forms of certain levels, like, well, let's just say for instance with, I would say Hang Castle, or potentially, Final Fortress, most likely. So either way though, because I've seen a lot of like rage-inducing compilations or anything else like that when it comes to super hard mode. And on top of all that stuff though, what I've managed to realize is that much like the forms of in expert mode in Shadow the Hedgehog, I'm pretty sure the life system has been reset by default. So yeah, I've honestly have no idea why they never seemed able to share lives or anything else like that. So oh well, no big deal though, but hey, at least we can able to just, you know, keep on doing fire dashes just to ensure that we'll hop into the cannon, as so much so. And sometimes we have to take a waiting situation right here, so either way. Assuming, of course, if you do manage to able to play the game on extra mode, basically though, it'll just get ridiculously fast. So either way, let's just go ahead and get ourselves the ninja copy ability, so that way we can able to, wow, that was actually a close call. Especially concerning about the fact that if I don't make it, obviously I do need to able to reactivate that switch again, so. And also as you probably already know, that there's actually now a drop ability meter, which I think it actually firstly introduced that from the likes of the forms within Kirby style allies, and basically if you hold down the Y button or the X button or something like that. Mind you, it's been a very long while since I actually have last played Kirby style allies, because I still haven't exactly 100% everything in that game yet, because I'm still pretty much stuck on the forms of the ultimate choice, the harder difficulty setting, because of the ridiculous, you know, half health or anything else like that, which I still got myself butt kicked by the forms of that particular ridiculous boss, so. But anyway though, let's just go ahead and time our jumps carefully, so just to ensure that we won't be able to, you know, drop down instantly with that particular Karibo shoe-like. So either way, let's just go ahead and break those golden blocks, so because of that we can able to get ourselves another energy sphere, while simply just trying to able to time our jumps correctly for that particular enemies right here, so we can able to go through them. So pretty swell, I might add. So anywho though, now as far as I'm aware about the fact that we've kept King 74 in mind, basically though, I almost first thought that he's probably gonna get into the forms of, well, let's just say in terms of the forms of the actual progressioning for the sake of, you know, Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door at this point. That almost first thought he was probably gonna go into the forms of the next chapter, which appears to be chapter 5. But apparently though, he's probably gonna be focusing on side missions, or side quests for that matter. Specifically, the Troubling Center, which as far as I'm aware, he obviously gonna be able to be focusing on certain floors from the likes of the Pit of 100 Trials. So either way though, that might be saying something. Oh, and also I would like to point things out is that, as you can tell, since we've already got ourselves the stone copy ability ever since in Raisin Ruins, apparently though, one of those statues in particular that we did somehow turn into, which appears to be buddy forms of, well, not only for those 3 animal crew ever since in Journey forms within Kirby's Dream Land 2, as you can see, but also with the forms of Meta Knight, King Dedede, and Bandetta Waddle Dee. But I noticed something right from the get-go, though, is that I believe the actual the face design from the likes of King Dedede from that particular stone that we actually turn into is actually kind of based off from the likes of Kirby-style allies or something like that, despite the fact that in-game, in Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is obviously based off from, you know, Kirby and the Forgotten Land design, when it comes to, like, King Dedede in mind. But either way, though, let's just go ahead and take down Super Bonkers, despite the fact that I keep on getting myself wrecked at this point, especially because, you know, about the fact that I was being busy doing charged up beam attacks, but either way, we're sure enough we're able to take him down like no sweat. So, in that way, we get ourselves the next super ability, and that's what appears to be Grand Hammer. And I can assure you, this will be the last super ability in the game, if I recall correctly. So either way though, that way we can able to instantly manage to smack the actual certain stuff. So either way, and of course, unlike the forms of how it does it on the original Wii version, that basically you have to shake the Wii remote in order able to make the hammer a bit bigger. In here though, all you have to do is about the fact that you have to rotate the control stick this time. So yeah, I can see how this is going. So, oh, and also speaking of which though, is about the fact that I not only managed able to recently pre-order The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom recently, but also I've got myself with the free poster with it, featuring Link with that particular Ultra Hand, as far as I'm aware, because you probably already know about the forms of how, in fact, the reason why I say Ultra Hammer, because that's going to be like, for the sake of the forms of the entire Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game. And on top of all that stuff though, I somehow managed able to order myself on yet another GameCube controller Wavebird, but this time around though, I've somehow managed to go it from eBay. That's only mainly because about the fact that if I somehow manage to come across into my broken Wavebird controller, then I can obviously fetch another one. So just to ensure it'll be enough for 3 players. Specifically for those if you're probably wondering about the fact the matter is though, I'm actually going to be spending on certain stuff of my interest still. Especially, I was originally going to be able to try to get myself Sonic Origins Plus for the likes of the physical version, but I'll save that in a later time. So either way, yeah, I do apologize if my throat is actually going to get choked up at that point, but hopefully I'll get myself better until... Why does my jump button not work? Oh, jeez, I did not expect I somehow picked up the key, and then I somehow realized that the actual, the inputs just somehow not exactly jumped, so that was unexpected. So anyway, because obviously in this particular dimension, as you can tell, basically we need to obviously just keep, you know, holding the key at all times until we activate all these kinds of locked doors. So, but anywho though, so yeah, because I have no idea why I managed able to go after yet another Wavebird controller, because I will admit though, I really love the controller so much, especially because it's all wireless and everything, despite with the lack of rumble function. But I will admit though right away about the fact the matter is though, that I think to me that wireless controllers are actually pretty cool looking, especially because despite it's pretty expensive nowadays, although there's also the forms of the third-party cheaper option, but I must admit that I honestly do prefer the official ones. That's only mainly because I might be biased when it comes to like real products and stuff like that, rather than third-party variations of some things. Because I know for a fact that for one thing in mind, that I used to have myself the forms of one of those very, very awkward Wii Remote controller grip back in long time ago, but that was in 2010 if I recall, and basically I somehow managed to grab one of these thanks to the forms of the Nintendo official magazines and stuff like that years ago, but then all it gets is basically it's like a very, very odd, you know, awkward shaped Wii Remote controller grip, and let me tell you, it does not fit very well, especially as one of the worst Wii peripherals I've ever seen. Especially concerning about the fact that, well, at least they did try, but it's just about the fact that it does not fit very well. Especially because, well, it's actually a bit too small to be able to insert the Wii Remote in, despite the Wii Remote is actually a bit bigger. because I just have no idea why that peripheral exists during the forms of in 2010. So either way though, let's just go and get ourselves some 2 more energy spheres right here. So we'll essentially try to able to just, well, get away with some stuff like that. Despite the fact that so far this is our first step of the playthrough, which to be expected at this point because there's going to be quite a few emphasis on trial and error sometimes. Especially, I just cannot even believe that my jump button does not react to in time if I, at the same time, grabbing the key in the process. So, oh well, no big deal. Besides, I already got loads of lives so far, like 40 of them so far. So, either way though, hopefully we'll get more by the time whenever we get to the next couple of levels and during time. So, either way. Alright, so I believe we'll now move on to stage 3. So, I think for the most part, in, I believe I would say in World 6 and onwards, that we might come across into 6 levels, so, or 6 stages for that matter, so, anyway, so we've now actually come across into another sub-game, which, as a result, some of them are actually kind of familiar. Well, again, if you ever played the past Kirby games, ranging between Kirby's Adventure, all the way up to, you know what I mean, the original version of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, that you probably already knows about the fact that, well, aside from the fact that we've come across into those familiar sub-games in the past, well, in terms of unlockable methods, but also we've come across into 2 other new sub-games that was actually introduced in this remake, which is, well, again, I'm probably not going to mention about it right now, anytime soon, until whenever we get into the forms of Merry Megaland for the better, but that's only mainly because there is technically another completionist requirement when it comes to able to 100%ing everything in terms of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe in mind, that it actually requires you to able to complete certain missions. Like, some of them are actually pretty easy to complete, but some of them are actually quite of a challenge, which I will say that the missions in Megalore, or in some cases Merry Megaland, is by far the hardest thing to do. Especially concerning about the fact that, well, it does kind of remind me of something almost entirely related to the forms of in Mario Party Superstars, where it comes to completing certain missions. Like, some of them are easy, and some of them are just really, really difficult, mainly due to the luck factor to it, or, on top of all that stuff, though, which just requires you to deal with a lot of skill involved. So, either way, though, because chances are that, again, it does kind of remind me of Mario Party Superstars, where it comes to not only bringing back certain familiar games, but also with the forms of the missions, objectives here and there too. So, anyway though, so let's just go ahead and just swim very, very carefully, because as you can tell, I've lost my spear Kirby ability, but that's only mainly because one of those energy spheres does require to be able to utilize the spear Kirby ability, so hopefully we're able to see that switch over down there, and we'll activate that like so. And, well, we somehow found it right down there. So, either way. Now, in terms of the forms of looking back on Mario Kart Wii, as far as I mentioned about this briefly, now, aside from the fact that I've already 100%ed everything, well, apart from one in particular exception to this, and I'm guessing because, well, it's actually quite the most difficult thing to do, but it's entirely optional if you don't feel like it, and that's what it appears to be about the fact that, well, for the most part, I've already managed to complete every single cups in the game, including a singular star ranking, except with the 3-star ranking, because that's actually quite difficult to pull off, especially because of all that, you know what I mean, the rubber banding AI comes into play every now and then, but every once in a while though is about the fact that we did somehow manage to realize. Actually, let me go ahead and just melt those ice cubes while simply obtaining the fire copy ability, because that way we can able to carry this invincibility crystal, so that way we can able to bypass those icicle balls and get ourselves the energy sphere and the maximum tomato, or maximum tomato, depending on the forms of your regions you lived in. So, anyways, let's continue further for this point, and we'll go ahead and get ourselves the cutter ability, well, usually relatively speaking, because relatively speaking, that we will come across into another energy sphere, as far as you probably already expect at this point. So, either way, let's just go ahead and continue things on here. Alright, there we go. So I think we do need to charge up our... Okay, that doesn't work. So let me just go ahead and try to do this. And hopefully we should be able to... Oh, darn it! I completely forgot I got crushed. Not a good way to able to stand on there, so... Oh well, no big deal, because aside from the fact that we've got a checkpoint, thanks to the forms if we proceed to the next area, so... At least the checkpoints are super generous, so... Oh jeez, I didn't pay attention to that at all, but that's only mainly because I almost first thought I was trying to able to move at the right time, but because about the fact I didn't exactly move in time, while at the same time, get crushed in the process. So, what is up with the forms of certain other Let's Players out there that we keep on getting crushed every time? So, I just have no idea what to expect. But anyways though, let's just go ahead and grab this another energy sphere from up there. Now I'm pretty sure the last energy sphere we do need to get, and I think that actually requires us to able to get the key. So, but that'll be until at the very end of the level, I'm presuming so. So either way, let's just go ahead and continue things on for this point. And then just trying to dodge those specific eel-like creatures, just in case we don't have to deal with the forms of rotating the control stick, aside from, you know, doing motion controls on the original Wii version. So either way though, that might be saying something. So, and I'm pretty sure this part right there seems to be kind of pointless, because all it gets is just, well, some of these other collectibles, you know, like food and also some star points, and you probably name the rest of it, so we'll skip that for now, because obviously we need to go all the way to the very end, and before we get into that, we need to take on this particular fellow right here. So, but even then, we're able to utilize the Leaf copy ability, because I don't know about you, it's been a very long while since we actually briefly used the Leaf copy ability, but what this ability does though, well, as you can tell, what makes that Leaf ability super cool is that if you're trying to able to, like, I don't know, block or something like that, basically you can able to actually hide yourself from the whole bunch of leaves, so you can able to be easily be protected from the likes of certain enemy encounters and all that stuff. But anyways, let's go ahead and use the water ability, so just in case we're able to deliver the key right here. And not only does it contain the forms of what else, the energy sphere, but also with 6 star points, so that way we can able to call up with the actual, hopefully we'll get ourselves the extra life in the process until later on anyway. So, yeah, it feels like we're not doing too bad for this world, except the fact I stumbled across into 2 deaths so far, which that's to be expected because of the forms of trial and error comes into play, and on top of that I wasn't paying attention to certain things, so... Alright, so far so good, as I said, so either way, again, I admit though, I do apologize for my commentary as a bit slightly bare bones at this point today, but that's just mainly because about the fact that I was a little bit tired, but it's just about the fact that, oh, we can now able to actually access to the bomb challenge. But again, we'll save the challenge stages until for later, because similar to the forms of how it does in the original version of the game, basically in order to able to fully 100% everything, and not only on the main mode, but also on the extra game as well, that basically we have to able to complete the extra challenges, or extra stages for that, or just challenge stages for that matter, because, well, obviously you only have to complete them once, and that's pretty much about it. As far as the medal requirements are concerned, well, you don't have to necessarily try to get the platinum medal or anything else like that. Well, at least unlike any forms of how it does it on, well, let's just say 2 of those Kirby games specifically, which are Team Kirby Clash Deluxe on the 3DS, including with the forms of the original counterparts found on Planet Robobot, and on top of that with the forms of, well, other stuff for that matter, with Super Kirby Clash. I always attempt able to find myself trying to able to get the platinum medals in the process, so because of that, well, just for its completionist's sake, and on top of that, trying to grind as many of those level ups as I can. So either way, speaking of Super Kirby Clash though, is about the fact that I've pretty much almost 100% everything in Super Kirby Clash, but it's just about the fact that I don't think 100% completionist though is actually going to be a thing for me. But that's only mainly because it has the insane amount of those missions, 900 all in all, and on top of that, about the fact that I was expecting if I was trying to able to tackle through the party quest, but usually relatively speaking though, I don't feel like trying to complete everything in the party quest because of You know what I mean about the fact that every once in a while that the online functionality might attempt to lag a bit, which it can be felt a bit extremely disorientating at times, especially concerning that it's bad enough with Super Mario Maker 2 also has a lot of lag. So as a result of that kind of stuff, though, I just don't feel like trying to go back into Super Kirby Clash for the time being, because obviously I'm just, well, already completed the forms of the story quest. Well, aside from the fact that I've almost got to the point when I somehow managed to beat the true final boss in the game. Basically, I was so close to able to actually get the platinum medal from. Well, apart from the fact that I did somehow manage to try for a bit, but it's just about the fact that my computer AI just seemed to be a lot more dumber than usual. So, that's just me. So, either way, let's go and get ourselves the familiar Snowball right here, because it's been a very long while since we actually come across into this ability, since joining forms within Onion Ocean since the very beginning of that world, and we feel like we're playing some bowling action. So by simply just able to turn into a ginormous snowball, and at the same time we're able to just ram into any other enemies and all that stuff. Although there was actually a catch to this particular super ability in mind, is that you can either press the B button as you can see, or if I sometimes managed able to shake my controller, basically I actually just somehow shake the controller and it does manage to work with motion controls occasionally. And I think that was the only time you were able to actually use motion controls specifically for this ability, so kind of strange to be able to actually have that in there. But either way though, let's just go and insert the head onto its actual snowman's body. You know, kind of like the equivalent to the forms within the Super Mario 64 snowman kind of thing. Except the fact that, well, we insert the head rather than the actual entire body, so alright, so let's head into this next dimensional portal thing, so hopefully we won't be able to have that much trouble with. So, unlike the forms of how it does on the previous dimensional portal thing, that I somehow managed to be able to do not jump, while at the same time grabbing a key in the process, so oh yeah, and something's worth noting for is about the fact that later on today, that perhaps even potentially that not only me, but also with the rest of the girls out there, for the sake of the forms of the actual character selections, when it comes to able to seeing the Super Mario Bros. Movie again for the second run through. And because of that though, again, no spoilers please, and on top of that, I'm going to be inviting not only Jewel, but also the rest of the My Little Pony cast as well, like, you know, Twilight Sparkle, Rainbow Dash, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Rarity, Starlight Glimmer, and, most notably, the great and powerful Trixie. That she's also going to be involved in this as well, especially because concerning about the fact that I'll just let the ponies get their chance to able to actually see the film for us. Well, with us, I should say. With, you know, me and Jewel, and especially noticeable with, although originally we were expecting to be able to bring the kids again, like, Diago, as well as the forms of, Carla and, Baya. But it's just about the fact that those kids have already seen it, and because about the fact that Tiago just almost spoiled the film for us. Well, despite the fact that that film has been out for quite some time now, especially about the fact the matter is though, what I've looked upon the films at the box office so far is actually doing pretty well when it comes to the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Well, I'll explain more details about that as soon as I'm able to actually just get out of this particular dimension portal first, so either way. But yeah, as far as what some toys has already mentioned about this, or potentially speaking, I've already said this before, since on Friday, it's kind of unfortunate that the review scores didn't exactly go all that well, in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, but at least they did manage to increase one of these, you know, review scores in mind. So I think, as far as for this update is concerned, I believe on Rotten Tomatoes is actually now on to, like, well, in terms of critics-wise, it's now on to 56%. I was expecting, like, 60 or higher, or perhaps even maybe, like, you know, 80 or higher, but apparently it wasn't, so that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, as for this for right now, that is actually doing rather well for its box office earnings for the sake of the films of the Super Mario Bros. Movie as of now. So as a result, usually relatively speaking, for the budget of the film is actually $100 million. So yeah, that might be saying something. And so far, for the box office earnings, they've got $148 million. So yeah, it's actually pretty good stuff. Although they were able to increase that a little bit more until later down the road. Well, aside from the fact that I somehow mentioned about the film's this outdated, box office earnings for this point. So, either way, let's just go ahead and continue things on here. But again, no spoilers for this point, because obviously, it's the most recent film. Especially concerning about the fact it's been, well, let's say 5 days ago since when the film has actually been released on a big screen. So hopefully if I get enough cash for it, then hopefully I can able to get not only the DVD version, but also with the Blu-ray version as well. Mainly with the DVD version, so I can watch the film on the go on certain places, and on top of that, the Blu-ray version, so I can able to enjoy the film again, but with 1080p quality. So although I was originally trying to able to get myself the 4K version, but of course I couldn't actually access to 4K Ultra HD TVs. And on top of that, I still haven't got myself Xbox Series X, because I don't know about you, of what's the point of having Series X, because obviously I've already technically got the highly tech Xbox thanks to Xbox One. Well, at least the majority of the games seems to be able to have ourselves not only Xbox One, but also Xbox Series X compatibility. Well, aside from a couple of exceptions though, like for instance with Resident Evil 4 Remake, that's usually Xbox Series X exclusive, so it's no longer on Xbox One. Well, aside from the fact that for Resident Evil 4 Remake, obviously already got 3, or technically 4 versions of it actually, which is the PS4 version, PS5, Xbox Series X/S, and exponentially with the forms of PC as well, I guess. Well, despite the fact that I haven't exactly looked upon PC as much, because obviously, aside from the fact that I've already mentioned about one of those games in particular, which came out just before the April Fool's Day during the films of this year, and that was quite unexpected whenever I first saw that coming. Although, relatively speaking though, again it's for free for Steam owners, despite the fact that I haven't exactly got access to Steam since during the films have been, I would say back in 2021, but I haven't exactly used Steam as much compared to the other players out there. Maybe because I'm more into the forms of consoles and handhelds, specifically when it comes to gaming. Well, don't get me wrong, I found it's a pretty cool idea for PC gaming is actually going to get a lot more popular now, but it's just about the fact that I'm not one of those types, I must be honest here. So either way, let's just go in here to do the opposite direction when it comes to obtaining the key by approaching to the right. So yeah, I couldn't think about it though, about the fact the matter is though, I think that's as far as I can talk about for the sake of time. Even though it's a bit weird, that for whatever reason, that for the likes of Mario Kart Wii, while alongside with the forms of other Mario games, during the forms of the Nintendo Wii U downloadable versions, as far as I'm aware, that when it comes to Mario Kart Wii, alongside with the forms of, I would classify as saying, alongside with the forms of, Mario Party 8, and especially noticeable with Mario Party 9, and heck, even especially noticeable with Boom Street as well. And I think also say applies with the forms of other games as well that I could possibly think about it on top of my head, but usually for whatever reason they never seemed able to re-release those games on the Wii U downloadable versions for whatever reason, aside from like, you know, Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, WarioWare Smooth Moves, Wario Land, The Shake Dimension. Actually, kind of thinking about it though, is about the fact that I was expecting that I would possibly be able to also tackle for Wario Land, The Shake Dimension at some point, but either way though, because that game is going to be 15 years old as well. But I think we should probably save that on a later day, because obviously we need to still focusing on this for the time being, alongside with, you know, WarioWare Smooth Moves, and on top of that, another Let's Play should be up at any moment's notice until specifically tomorrow or something. So, but either way, I will admit though, this room can be very difficult, can be very difficult at times, because obviously if you slip up once for that particular ice physics platforms, basically not only do you lose the candle, but also about the fact that you essentially cannot able to go back to where you've respawned. So alright, so we'll just keep a hold of this key for one sortable reason. That is, of course, activating that locked door on the left. And out of nowhere, there was actually the forms of the festival copy ability was there. But I'm not going to use that because I've only rarely used it for once, just to show you guys how that ability works. Especially concerning that, you know, that's actually brought back to the forms of Kirby-style allies, as you probably already know. And I was really so close to able to get myself one back on the top, but oh well, no big deal. Okay, so now we're going to be able to take on the next boss in the game, so I'm very curious to see what this is going to be, although I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly the same boss as you remember from the likes of the original version, so... And no unlockables here, yet. So, because of that though, we're actually getting a lot of progressioning so far in terms of the main mode itself. So, either way, let's just go ahead and get ourselves the fighter copy ability, because we haven't exactly used that either. So hopefully we'll try to use that for the sake of this entire boss fight. So, either way, let's just go ahead and charge up our Kamehameha kind of technique, or Hadouken kind of ability, and then potentially speaking though, we'll be able to take down this particular boss. So hopefully it should make things a bit more easy to manage, especially because, well, we've already experienced this boss fight already since the original version, so we'll just have to keep on doing uppercut and downward kick like several times with very good amount of hit points, and at the same time we did somehow beat him on the first half. So, but of course he'll become Super Saiyan mode or anything else like that because of the forms of the yellow hair that has been happening. So yeah, and of course he'll get a little bit more tapping aggressive, so either way just gonna have to dodge his Kamehameha. And you know, this particular part does, well, I'm being over exaggerating with the forms of Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, so yeah, I've no idea why I've managed able to questioning that, but either way though, let's just go ahead and finish him off within no problems whatsoever. So but yeah, hopefully by that time until on Wednesday, I'm also able to actually just be up for myself at this point, and somehow we've recovered an emblem. So that way, we've only got one part left until Lord Starcutter will be fully restored by then, so... Nice. And exponentially, the next world we're going to be hop into, it's going to be one of the longest worlds in the game for sure. And that's what appears to be Buddy Forms of Nutty Noon. So, for those of you who've not played the original version of the game before, well, I apologize for that spoilers. So, whoops. Now, I suppose the last thing I want to mention is that I have no idea that when does the forms of the DLC expansion for the likes of Sonic Origins Plus will be up, and joining several of those digital shops or anything else like that. But again, we shall see what happens in due time, especially concerning about the fact that, well, sometimes it takes time when it comes to like adding certain stuff. So either way though, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. So either way, jeez, I've somehow managed to got 27 tickets so far. So either way though, I think suffice to say though, we should probably endings of this point right here. So join me next time for more Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch. That is about the fact that, as we said this before, the next world we're going to be hop into is Nutty Noon. So get it because of the forms of the N of the actual beginning letter and stuff like that. So I'll see you guys until on Wednesday. Later, fellas.